This is 3 News Now, your daily update on everything Northeast Ohio with Stephanie Haney.
Hello everyone, welcome back to 3 News Now. I'm Stephanie Haney on this Wednesday, August 10th. Thank you for being here for the top stories from WKYC.com and our WKYC app. Here we bring you the stories that matter most to you here in Northeast Ohio. These are the stories that you are clicking on, reading, and sharing from our website and from our app. And we start with national news coming out of New York City because former President Donald Trump has taken the Fifth Amendment today. This is in an ongoing civil investigation while being deposed in the New York Attorney General's office. So this is an investigation looking into his business dealings. And we know that the former president arrived at Attorney General Letitia James's Manhattan offices in a motorcade that was shortly before 9 a.m. And then it was about an hour later he announced that he would decline to answer the questions under the rights and privileges, this is a quote from him, afforded to every citizen under the United States Constitution. Now, this is a different approach for the former president, who previously had taken pride in jockeying with attorneys during depositions. But he said today, "I once asked, if you're innocent, why are you taking the Fifth Amendment? Now I know the answer to that question." That's what he said. And the answer to that question, legally speaking, is that answering questions in a deposition is risky because anything someone says can potentially be used against that person in a parallel criminal investigation. That is the situation that is happening in the Manhattan District Attorney's Office right now when it comes to the former president. So the Fifth Amendment protects people from being compelled to be witnesses against themselves in a criminal case. Now, lots of legal news surrounding the former president this week. Just on Monday, the FBI executed a search warrant at his Mar-a-Lago home at his club in Florida. That's part of an unrelated federal investigation into whether he took classified records when he left the White House when President Joe Biden took office. And in addition to all of this, the investigation into the events of January 6th continues. We've seen 8 of those hearings so far this summer. I have a recap on exactly what happened throughout the course of those hearings. That's up on WKYC.com, also on the WKYC YouTube page, and you can find it on WKYC Plus, which you're able to download on your Fire TV, your Fire Stick, or your Roku app. You can watch it there as well. And we look into the issues of whether there potentially might be criminal charges coming against the former president as a result of what happened on January 6th. Now, speaking of the office of the presidency, let's talk about what President Joe Biden did. Today, he signed the burn pits help for veterans, which is a bit of a personal whim for him. His oldest son, Beau Biden, had died of cancer years after deploying to Iraq. So this legislation, which was held up a bit for various reasons, it was signed into law today. And what this does is it expands federal health care services for millions of veterans. These veterans who served at military bases where toxic smoke came from huge burn pits. We'll talk more about what happened at these burn pits in just a moment. But the president said today, here's a quote from him, "We owe you. You're the backbone, you're the steel, you're the sinew, you're the very fiber that makes this country what it is." And with signing this into law today, the president ends a fight that has been years long to ensure treatment for chronic illnesses that veterans have blamed on burn pits. Now, these burn pits were used to dispose of chemicals, tires, plastics, medical equipment, and even human waste on military bases. These burn pits were used both in Iraq and Afghanistan. Despite the prevalent use of these burn pits, 70% of disability claims involving exposure to the pits have been denied by the Department of Veterans Affairs. Well, that will no longer be the case following today. These health care benefits will be expanded to cover these individuals. This is estimated to affect troops up to 3.5 million people, so this will have a huge impact. Now, if you're looking for a huge impact to help make your wallet a little bit thicker, here is one easy place that you can look. If you use Nopec, which is an electricity aggregator, if you're using them, which is something that you may have opted into without even realize you were opting into it, you might be paying too much for your electric bill because the way the rates work, this is all a contract issue, and because rates get locked in at different times, right now, Nopec will tell you they are not the best option for your financial situation when it comes to providing your electric, and it's used by 242 communities, roughly 1 million customers. The goal is to save you money, but as I said, right now, not the best option, and it could be lopsided in this way until May of next year, so almost another year. So now is a good time to call and check and see if you can lower your electricity bill just by opting out of Nopec for the moment. Okay, so that number is 1-855-667-3201. Again, that's 1-855-667-3201. So check that, check on your electric bill, see if you can get that lowered a little bit. Now let's talk about a public health issue. There's a monkeypox vaccine that is available here in Northeast Ohio. It's available at the Central Outreach Wellness Center. That's in Cleveland Heights. They have a limited number of doses. They have 250 doses of the vaccine available. What we do know is that the vaccine is 85% effective in preventing monkeypox before the onset of symptoms. If you do have monkeypox symptoms and you do test positive, there's an antiviral treatment that is also available at Central Outreach Cleveland. So certain people are eligible for this. One of the groups that is eligible for this includes people who have had skin-to-skin contact or known exposure with someone who has confirmed to have monkeypox. Now, there's been a lot of conversation about the prevalence of monkeypox in the LGBTQ plus community. We also have learned from health officials that this is something that can be transmitted skin-to-skin contact, saliva contact, bodily fluid contact. So a bit of a misnomer that people are sort of associating this with the LGBTQ plus community. That's what we're hearing from medical experts. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about the possibility of needing the monkeypox vaccine. So Central Outreach Cleveland is located at 2323 Lee Road in Cleveland Heights. You can also reach them by phone, 216-350-1000. It's walk-ins only, by the way. No insurance is required. You do not need to make an appointment to get there. Now, as we continue to wait and see what happens with the appeal of the 6-game suspension for Cleveland Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson related to sexual assault allegations against him, which presiding officer Sue Robinson had determined that he was responsible for, did determine that he had committed multiple acts of sexual assault. We heard from NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell about the decision to appeal that initial 6-game suspension. He said it was the right thing to do. Here's a quote from him. "Because we've seen the evidence." She, referring to Sue Robinson, was very clear about the evidence. She reinforced the evidence that there were multiple violations there. There were egregious, and it was predatory behavior. Those were things we thought were always important for us to address in a way that's responsible. So we know that the NFL has filed their appeal last week. We know that the NFL Players Association has filed its response this week. And we also know that Roger Goodell has designated attorney Peter Harvey to hear this appeal. Now, Peter Harvey has been involved with the NFL Diversity Advisory Committee, and he's also a former Attorney General of New Jersey. So we await his response on what the final determination will be. And we have heard reports, of course, that Watson's camp and the NFL Players Association do expect to sue the NFL if that does come back, an indefinite suspension of 1 year, which is what we know the NFL is seeking. So we will continue to keep you posted as that information becomes available. Let's talk about some of the other players on the Cleveland Browns, because October 31st is the matchup between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Cleveland Browns. Now, if it were to be a 6-game suspension, that would be when Watson takes the field for the first time, although that is seeming increasingly less likely. But Jamar Chase of the Cincinnati Bengals is talking a little bit of trash, calling out some of the Cleveland Browns. He appeared on the Pivot podcast earlier this week, calling out Denzel Ward and Greg Newsome II in a sort of positive way, sort of. He was asked to name his Mount Rushmore of defensive backs, and he mentioned Ward, who had a pick 6 in the Browns' Week 9 win over the Bengals. Calling them out for 2 different reasons, though. He said, not because Cleveland talks a lot of trash, not just because Cleveland talks a lot of trash, but Denzel Ward did his thing. So he was talking about Denzel Ward's performance. But then when he mentioned Greg Newsome, he said, I don't think he's elite, but they just all talk crazy. So when he talked about Newsome, he talked about that talking trash. So I believe they call that bulletin board material. We'll continue to see what happens as that unfolds, with the preseason for the Browns actually kicking off on Friday. Now, in the baseball world, there are 53 games remaining in this 2022 season, and right now the Cleveland Guardians are tied for first place in the American League Central Division. So on Tuesday, the Guardians beat the Detroit Tigers 5-2, and that was behind pitching from ace Shane Bieber. Shortstop Ahmed Rosario had 3 hits, 1 RBI, and 1 run scored, continuing to show a strong second-half offensive surge for Cleveland. And the takeaway here is if the season ended today, they'd be going to the playoffs. But remember, there are 53 games left. That's a lot of baseball, and a lot can happen between now and then. We do know what we can expect from the Cavaliers, at least in the preseason now. We know when they will start back up for the 2022 preseason, and that includes a road game against the Philadelphia 76ers. That's on October 5th. After that, they'll come back home to Cleveland to host the 76ers on October 10th, and then the Atlanta Hawks on October 12th. They'll close out the exhibition games on October 14th. That'll be on the road against the Orlando Magic. All 4 of the Cavs preseason games tip off at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And if you're looking to get the party started this weekend before Machine Gun Kelly's mainstream sellout tour, you can do that with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They're hosting an MGK Day, so this will be on Saturday. That'll be from 11 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. The concert starts at 5 p.m. So at this MGK Day put on by the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, people will be able to see the tickets to my Downfall outfit, his electric guitar, his custom Cupid microphone stand and pink microphone. Those will all be on display at the Right Here, Right Now exhibit at the Rock Hall. There'll be live music and activities. And the tour starts at 5 p.m. That's at First Energy Stadium right here on the waterfront. Included in the tour are special guests Trippie Redd, Avril Lavigne, Travis Barker, Willow, and 44 Phantom. Doors to the stadium open at 3 p.m. So plenty of opportunity to get in there nice and early before the show begins at 5 p.m. One more thing to let you know before we go here, we have to celebrate our Jewish delis here in Cleveland because there's a popular food website named Tasting Table, and they published a list of the top 20 Jewish delis in the entire country, in all of the United States. And 2 Cleveland locations made the cut. One of them is Larder Deli and Bakery, that's in Ohio City, and the other one is on the east side, that's Jack's Deli and Restaurant. Congratulations to these 2 Jewish delis, bringing in 10% of the top 20 Jewish delis in the country, right here in Cleveland. So if you didn't know, now you know, and you can put those things on your map if you are a foodie in the area. Okay, that's it for your 3 News Now update today for Wednesday, August 10th. I will see you back here tomorrow with more 3 News Now.
Thanks for listening to 3 News Now with Stephanie Haney from WKYC Studios. Subscribe now so you never miss an update, and find more on everything you heard here on WKYC.com and in the WKYC app.